What's up, guys? Doing a video today, and it is a video response. This is the third time filming because my video app, my editor app, doesn't want to load up the big clips, so I have to do this in segments and then string it together. But it is a video response to Morgan at the ArmedRogue. Morgan recently got a package from a subscriber of hers in which she got 2 books, and she was wondering, what are your favorite books? Now, this is going to be as short as I can make it. I'm going to try and explain a little bit about each book, why I like it, and I would absolutely love to see your guys' books, but please post them as a VR to Morgan. I'm going to put all her information in the description box below, but let's get into what are my favorite books. And the first one, The Hobbit. Probably one of the most celebrated fantasy novels ever that almost didn't get made. It was actually given to a publisher and he almost didn't make it, but he gave it to his kid. He was like, is this any good? And his kid came back to him and he was like, this is the best book ever, you have to publish it. But it wasn't commercially successful at first. And what is actually the reason that it became very commercially successful was the flower children of the 60s adopted it for the environmental messages within it. Tolkien was very adamant about the fact that he did not like the industrialization that was happening in Britain at the time. He watched the countryside where he had grown up being turned into factories and just being exploited, and he didn't like it. And it's very apparent within the Lord of the Rings universe as more that side than The Hobbit, but you definitely get a sense of it within The Hobbit as well. It's one of the best fantasy books that I've ever read, and it's one of my personal favorites. As you can see, I got this when it was brand new. I was about 8 years old, something like that. And it's showing its age, but I love it. So, that is book number 1. I'm going to turn the camera off and on again and come back for book number 2. Book number 2 is Adrift by Steve Callahan. 76 Days Lost at Sea. It's, I believe, the second longest time ever spent adrift at sea. A story of sea survival. I think the only one longer is about 116 days, I want to say. He was actually interviewed as part of one of Ray Mears', I believe it's the World of Survival series, and he's actually featured on the Sea Survival episode, and Ray Mears actually points out some of the reasons why he was able to survive. And it all boils down to the fact that Steve Callahan was more prepared than the average person would have been. He had added items to his ditch kit that the average seaman would not have, or has most likely not have. And one of the big thing that he added to the ditch kit was a spear gun. Without that, he would not have been able to survive, period. He just wouldn't have been able to catch as many fish as he did, or as large as fish as he did. It enabled him to catch very large fish that he was able to convert part of his dinghy or rubber life raft into a section where he was actually drying strips of that fish out to sustain him for a week at a time, maybe. I think the longest one was maybe a week for the biggest fish. But he was able to dry out strips of the fish, and that was a huge reason why he was able to survive. He also had added things like extra solar stills. Another huge reason that he wouldn't be able to survive is kind of that, and the spear gun are kind of tied for the biggest things. But he added 3 solar stills instead of just the one. He actually had 2 of them fail. One failed right off the bat. It was ended up being damaged. One failed over time after being corroded by the salt and water from the sea. And the third one was starting to go, but he managed to be creative, MacGyver up ways for it to keep going. And he actually ended up with that last one. Some other things he added were like extra flares, stuff like that. And one of the other most important things was he added a book called Sea Survival. It is one of the recommended books by Mors Kahansky. I think you can still purchase it for about $50, $60. They're expensive now. I don't think it's in print anymore. But it had been by a family that had spent 3 months, I believe, at sea. It was very close to Steve Callahan's. Maybe it was like 56 days, something like that. I don't remember. But they were the family that had survived through giving enemas of brackish water. The mother had given them enemas of brackish water. They wouldn't have been potable otherwise. But not to ramble on about it, it is a great book that is just a testament to the human spirit and what people can accomplish and endure when they have the will to live. And it is just amazing. Amazing book. Alright, next book is Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. Jon Krakauer is an adventure travel writer. He's also done a couple non-fiction books as well, or I should say non-fiction as in different topics other than adventure writing. All his other books are non-fiction as well. He's written things like Into Thin Air, which was one of the deadliest Mount Everest disasters ever. It was recently portrayed in the movie Everest, whatever it was. Portrayed completely falsely, by the way. There are scenes in it depicting him that never happened, such as them going into his tent and asking for help to look for the other people. Never even happened, and if they had, he would have been incapable of doing so. But, talking about this book, recently, within the last decade, I should say, not recently, but made into a movie film featuring Emile Hirsch, who did an incredible job of portraying McCandless, Christopher McCandless, who the book is about. Christopher McCandless was someone that you wouldn't think would lead this type of lifestyle. He graduated from Emory with full honors. He donated everything that was left of his college savings, $24,000, ironically, to Oxfam, to fight world hunger. And it is the story of his journey afterwards doing that, which led up to a final Alaskan adventure in which he perished from starvation. And it is a great book that just shows how that person that has everything can find joy in the little things and the absolute freedom of his lifestyle. He basically became a vagabond, just a nomadic person that traveled wherever, whenever he felt like it, did whatever he wanted, and just experienced absolute freedom. There are excerpts from his actual writings, as well as Jon Krakauer's kind of investigative journalism into the fact. He actually kind of wraps in a bit of his own experiences, not too much, just enough to kind of show people that this type of spirit isn't necessarily something that's foolhardy to have. But although it is a tragic story, it is great to read within it that he touched a lot of people's lives in a very profound way. And I would say with all of them for the better. So, if you get a chance, pick it up. Into the Wild by John Krakauer. The final book is A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. It is another book that has been recently, within this past 2 years, been made into a movie. This one was starring Robert Redford and Nick Nolte. The movie did take a lot of liberties, I've been told. I haven't seen it yet myself. I'm waiting for it to go on sale. But great book. Very humorous, and as you can tell, it is rediscovering America on the Appalachian Trail. Basically, Bill Bryson was living in England, moved back to the United States, and he wanted to rediscover America. He actually lived in the next town over from me in New Hampshire. He lived in Hanover, New Hampshire. I lived in Lebanon. And I'd actually gone to Hanover, New Hampshire, which is where Dartmouth College is, all the time. It was where my orthodontist was when I first got braces. I absolutely loved. I probably shopped in the same bookstore as him. There was only one Barnes & Noble, and technically it's called the Dartmouth Bookstore, but I'm rambling. It's just kind of funny. It's actually the where Jodi Picoult lives as well. Don't know. It's kind of girly books, but I actually had met her. But rambling. I'm sorry. Bill Bryson is very humorous in this. He was actually about to go on the trail alone when his friend calls him up out of the blue and offers to go with him. Neither of them are prepared at all. They're not physically fit. They're not really hikers at all. And a little over, I think, a quarter of the way through it was, they actually see this not life-size, but a to-scale map. Not map, but it's a model, I should say, kind of like a model train style terrain feature of the whole trail, and they realize they haven't done anything significant on it at all. So they kind of just go out from there and experience the best parts of it. But their experiences, I should say, are absolutely hilarious. I love how he intertwines his own story with facts about the trail, facts about the flora and fauna, what the National Park Service is doing, and how they are actually very inadequate at preserving our natural environment. They are not given the budget they're supposed to, and they spend what budget they have on things that are superfluous or just unneeded. They spent within the past few years, I don't think it's in this, but they threw themselves a birthday party. They spent $1 million on it. It's like, that's our tax money. It's supposed to be going to preserving our national parks, and they threw themselves a huge ass party. That kind of pisses me off. But, anyways, this is just one of the books I've read about the AT. I've read just about every single book you can find on the AT. It's actually one of my bucket list items. I really would love to through hike the Appalachian Trail. But out of all the ones I have read so far, this is one of the best. Soon I will be reading the very first account of hiking the Appalachian Trail. It may replace this one, I don't know yet. But you can't go wrong. Alright guys, so that's it. Those are my favorite books. Once again, it is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, Adrift by Steve Callahan, Into the Wild by John Krakauer, and A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. Now, I have many other books that I would love to put on this list, some that I've sold, unfortunately. You will notice that I did not put in a book about survival or wilderness, primitive, bushcraft skills, something like that. I do have a few. I have Bushcraft 101. I have the Hawks Special Forces Survival Guide. I have Survive by Les Stroud. I recently purchased 98.6 by Cody Lundin. I haven't had a chance to read that yet. That's one of the next books I'll be reading as well. And then one of the books I've sold because it was the second generation was the SAS Survival Guide by Lofty Wiseman. But I have not read enough of those types of books to say, this one's my favorite. It's just not something that I'd like to read a few more, like Ray Mears and Morris Kahansky's books before I make a decision like that, which one's my favorite. Certainly they've all very comprehensive, but I just can't decide yet. Other books that I would put for maybe, say you guys have kids. I know a lot of people have kids on here and you want to read some adventure books with them. I would say Hatchet, one of my all-time favorite books. My Side of the Mountain, amazing book. Jason's Gold, Swiss Family Robinson, Robinson Crusoe, Tom Sawyer. I could name them for days. I used to have well over 1,000 books in my room. I sold most of them because I came through some hard times, but starting to get back books now. I might go through my library eventually one day with you. But I actually just picked up some more today. I picked up Gangster Squad, which was made into a movie. I picked up The Wolf of Wall Street, made into a movie as well. I picked up a book about FDR and the Great Depression, and then I picked up a book about Benjamin Franklin. So, thank you guys for watching. Once again, please do your VRs, not to me. I would love to see your favorite books, but do not do them to me, please. Please do them to Morgan at the Armed Rogue. All her information will be in the description box below. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Have a great day.